Now let's look at this flow chart. Now you can see here the boxes, right? Every box is a process. For example, here, this box 4.1 develop project charter is a process. 4.2 develop project management plan is a process. So there are 7 processes here, right? Within integration knowledge area. And each process takes some inputs and creates some outputs. So as I told you, every process, there will be certain inputs and there will be some work happening within the process, and then they will be generating some outputs. So now we are going to look at the bird's eye view of what is happening in integration knowledge area. Now the first process, develop project charter. So this is the very first process that happens in the entire project. And what do we have as an input? We have 2 major inputs. I'm just talking about the major inputs. There are more inputs, but I just want to highlight the major inputs and major outputs from the process. So what is the major input? Business case. So as I told you earlier, business case is something that is created before the start of the project. It gives the justification why a project is needed to be done in the organization. So business case is an input. Agreements. Sometimes you have an agreement between the party who wants you to do the project and the organization which is doing the project. So you may have 2 people and you may have an agreement. Once again, the agreement will contain some information that has to be passed on to the project charter. So what is project charter? As I told you, it is a 1-page simple document that captures the high-level information to kickstart a project. So project charter doesn't contain very much details. It's just a kickstart, a high-level information. If I want to construct a house, it will just say the project objective is to construct a, say, 4-bedroom house in ECR, Chennai. That's all. We don't go into the details of the house. That will be done in scope management. Right now, it's only high-level instruction. And also the project charter acts as an authorization to the project manager. So once the project charter is created, the authorization is given to the PM to go ahead and do the project, to go ahead and get resources for his project, to go ahead and get materials, machinery, whatever needed, he is given the authority. So that is the purpose of project charter. Now, once project charter is ready, that goes as an input to the second process. So what is the second process? Develop project management plan. So yesterday we saw project management plan, which is mainly containing the subsidiary plans and the baselines. It basically tells you how to do the project, how to manage the project. What is the project? What are the contents of the project? When the project has to be completed? What is the detailed cost budget for the project? The project charter contains high-level budget. The detailed budget is in project management plan. Now you can see here, there are certain inputs to the process. One input is project charter, and there is the second input called outputs from other processes. So what do we mean by this statement? It means your subsidiary plans like scope management plan, cost management plan, quality management plan, and then the baseline, scope baseline, cost baseline, schedule baseline. All these come as an input to this process. They are output from other processes, but they are input to project management plan. So this is what I have explained to you in detail yesterday when I showed how the 24 processes are connecting to the project management plan. So here you replace this one sentence with the entire flow chart I showed you. Okay, in case if you are still confused what I'm talking about, I will show you that. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So you can see here many processes are sending inputs to develop project management plan process. Correct? So all these inputs, PMI just uses one word or one short phrase saying that outputs from other processes. So what are the outputs from other processes? It could be scope management plan, it could be scope baseline, schedule management plan, schedule baseline, cost management plan, cost baseline, resource management plan, quality management plan, and so on, right? All the inputs to this process. This comes from various other processes. They are output from other processes. So you need to understand this logic that output from one process will go as an input to another process. For example, project charter is an output from the first process. It goes as an input to the second process. Similarly, this is the various outputs that come from different processes. It could be plan scope management. It could be plan schedule management. It could be like create work breakdown structure. Each of them sends an input to this process. And then what is the output from this process? We get project management plan. So which is nothing but a compilation of various documents. All the subsidiary plans, all the baselines, they all go into the project management plan. Once the planning is completed, the next step is to move to execution. Once the planning is completed, that means your project management plan is established, project management plan is baselined, then you need to move to execution. So this is an execution process, 4.3. Direct and manage project work. So what do we do here? We do the actual work in this process. And how do we do the actual work? Based on whatever we have planned according to the project management plan. So we know what is the scope, we know what is the timeline, we know what is the money allocated, we know what are the resources available. So based on that, we are going to execute the work. And when we execute the work, what do we get? We get deliverables. So what do we mean by deliverables? The work that is completed. It could be a room you are completing. It could be a machine you are installing. It could be a road you are laying and the road is ready for 1 kilometer. It could be laying a track and the track is ready for say half a kilometer and you want to have an inspection. And once the deliverables are completed, once the deliverables are ready, of course you need to have a quality inspection. So you can see here, once the deliverables are completed, ready, it goes as an input to quality control process. Why? Because the deliverable has to be inspected. Somebody have to inspect and then say, okay, this is good, this is meeting the criteria, this is as per the requirements. Somebody have to check it. Maybe you have a concrete slab, somebody have to check it, whether the dimensions are correct, whether the thickness are correct, whether the strength is adequate. So you need to do a lot of inspections. So that is what is happening in control quality. So in control quality, mainly your internal team does the inspection. Once they does the inspection, if they are happy, they are going to tell you, okay, we have inspected, we are happy, we have verified the deliverables. The deliverables we have verified, we are happy with it. Now, once you are happy, your internal quality control team is happy, the next step is to call the customer, okay, or whoever the approving authority, maybe the sponsor, or it could be an internal project. It may not be a customer, outside customer, it could be an internal customer. So call somebody who is going to accept the deliverables. The internal quality control inspection is not sufficient. Most of the time you need to call somebody from the customer side who will be inspecting and then accepting the deliverables. So the work in control quality and validate scope is the same. In both, we are doing inspection. Only the party who is conducting the inspection is different. In control quality, your internal quality team. In validate scope, external party who is going to accept the deliverables. So understand this flow: deliverables, verified deliverables, accepted deliverables. Once the deliverables are accepted, they have to move to the close project or phase, and then it has to be handed over to the customer. So that is called final product service or result transition. You are transitioning the product to the customer. So this is what is happening to the deliverables. This also we saw yesterday, but you can see here 4.3 is part of integration knowledge area, whereas 8.3 is part of quality management, 5.5 is part of scope management, and again 4.7 is part of integration management. So you need to understand all these connections. They are not happening sequentially. After 4, it's not 5. After 4, you can see suddenly it jumps to 8, right? 4.3 to 8.3. 8.3 to back to 5, 5.5. 5.5 to 4.7. So it's not step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It will jump, right? So you need to understand this flow. The second thing you need to know is data, right? As I told you yesterday also, during execution, you will be collecting a lot of data. The data could be related to time, the data could be related to cost, the data could be related to resources, the data could be related to risk. You collect a lot of data. They are called work performance data. That means how you are performing. So the data I am collecting. And this work performance data goes as an input to monitoring and controlling processes. So this again, I showed you the flow chart yesterday, where the work performance data goes as an input to various monitoring and controlling processes like control costs, control schedule, control resources, control quality, and so on. And what all those processes does, they do an analysis. They basically take the original baseline or the original plan, and then they compare the actual performance. Work performance data tells you the actual performance. Now we need to compare the original plan versus the actual performance. Are they matching? Or are we different? If at the end of the first month, we should have completed, let's say 10% of the project work, but we have completed only 5%. Now I know there is a big variation. I have completed only 50%. Is it acceptable? Right? So that analysis you need to do in monitoring and controlling processes. And once all these processes does the analysis, they will be generating information. And this information goes as an input to monitor and control project work, which is again an integration knowledge area process. Okay, remember integration is at the top, that is getting information from the people below. All the processes, individual processes, they all do the analysis, send the information back to the boss, Boss, here is the information, here is the information. The scheduling team gives the information, costing team gives the information, quality team gives the information, resource team gives the information. Now I, as a project manager, I collect all the information. That is monitor and control project. Once I collect all the information, I'm going to put it nicely in reports and send it out. So that is called work performance reports. Now, another thing we saw yesterday is the execution process can generate change requests. All monitoring and controlling processes can generate change requests. And then it goes as an input to one process called perform integrated change control. So this is the process in which we are going to review each and every change request. That request to make some changes. It could be asking to change the schedule. It could be asking for additional budget. It could be asking for change in scope. It could be omission of something. It could be addition of something. How do we review and approve this? So that is this process called perform integrated change control. So once this approves the change request, it goes back as an input to execution. And then finally, we also have one process that is mainly done to capture the knowledge in the project. You should capture the knowledge in the project. You should not like leave everything sitting inside in somebody's mind. Like let's say Manik is the project manager. Now if Manik resigns and then other people cannot go and say that, oh, only Manik is doing that, we all don't know how to do it. You should know everything is captured properly. The knowledge is captured. We should not depend on individuals. We should have a system that captures the knowledge. Right? So that again is an important process that is very much emphasized in PMBOK. So totally we have 7 processes within integration knowledge area. The first one is develop project charter. The second one is develop project management plan. The third one is direct and manage project work. Fourth one, manage project knowledge. Fifth one, monitor and control project work. Sixth one, perform integrated change control. And then the last one is close project or phase. But as we have seen, there are lot of work done by many other processes. For example, the outputs from other processes come from lot of other knowledge areas. Similarly here, the control quality, validate scope, monitoring and controlling processes, they all come from different knowledge areas. So this is what you need to understand. And all the important outputs I have highlighted, you should remember, you should understand, you should start connecting it, right? The chain should connect. Your mind should start capturing the chain of activities, the chain of processes. So once you start understanding the chain, it's easier to remember. If you try to read each process separately, it becomes very difficult to remember. But if you start connecting all of them, have a connection, then it's easier for you to remember.